Hi, I'm Austin Holm for Watcher DM, and today we're talking about Pariah. We're going to do a little flip through review. This is, as it bills itself, the psychedelic proto-neolithic animist old school role playing game. So if that appeals to you, stick around. As you will notice, this is a well loved copy. I've had this for a minute. It's very reasonably priced, which is why I have a copy. And yeah, beautifully illustrated, as you can see from the cover. Right away, it really hits you. This is a hunter gatherer RPG. So it kind of works off of the bones of the OSE kind of OSR basic role playing system you may be familiar with, written by Sofino, by the folks at Atelier Hui. I'm almost certainly mispronouncing that. Yeah, a list of acknowledgments. This game is fantastic. I will say that right out of the gate. I really, really like it a lot. It's also a total mess. It is in no way a coherent system of rules. If you are not a skilled DM, I would not try. This is not a good game to start with, let me put it that way. But if you are engaging with role playing games as a folk oral tradition, I think you will be right at home here. So, yeah, a little introduction here and then right into character creation. So the idea here is you are creating a band of pariahs. They are outcasts from their hunter-gatherer tribes, and they have been cast into the bush, the bush, cast into the brush to make their own way in the world. So you start by rolling up a name, and you'll see there's a little D20 table here, and that'll get you names kind of like, uh, Eager Father Giant Hyena, or Purple Oasis Disgusting Badger. One thing you'll notice too, if you are, because every player is rolling up two characters, which is kind of important because of the rest mechanics in the game and the lethality. You want to have two characters, as well as a elder each usually. You'll be rolling on this table a lot, and you will hit some doubles. I was thinking that was going to be a negative, but it ended up being a positive. It actually is actually really easy to build kind of familial relations between the PCs just on the basis of sort of repeated elements in their names. You also roll up a true name, that's kind of important for your spellcasting thing, and then you roll for your hit die. This is kind of a class. If you have a D8, for example, you'll be kind of more of a warrior type. You'll be better at fighting. If you have a D4, you get more magical mojo. So I would rather play D4 characters. It's a very nicely balanced thing. Both are fun. The attributes, so it's exactly what you would expect from kind of BX style D&D: Constitution, Strength, Dexterity, Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma. Same modifiers as something like OSE or Lamentations, that old school kind of thing. You'll notice here each of the different hit dice have different ways of generating their stats that kind of lead them towards being more, spellcasty or more fighty or more roguey or whatever. You are taking damage to those attributes. So, if you lose all your intelligence, you become a GM controlled NPC or something. Or if you lose all your charisma, you could become a nameless one, a sort of soulless or personality erased person. The core skills table here, this is you choose a core skill, or two core skills, excuse me, and then based on that you get your skills. A lot of fun stuff here: musical instruments, mimicry, storytelling, singing. These are the weapons, so you can see it kind of ranges from like slings to two-handed bone swords. There's also an additional starting items table. One of the things I really liked about this RPG was just how important inventory was, because there's no chance of, going to a store and buying a large basket. Your large basket becomes really, really important, especially as you're gathering food or looking for things to sacrifice to spirits. Even something as simple as like a clay jar, an empty clay jar, can be, a life or death kind of help thing. So, really, really great thought into the material systems here. You were exiled because so, Pariah being a game about pariahs, these are the reasons you were exiled from your people. You practiced forbidden sorcery. You displeased the elders. You were too smart. You were a thief. A spirit haunts you. You rejected a suitor. You violated a weird taboo. Indulged in forbidden love. Great stuff all around. gives you a really crisp idea of the character out of the start. You also get a special feature. So this could be anything. Before you left, an elder gave you a pouch of dried dawn mushroom, 4 doses. A lot of psychedelic type stuff in this game that really relates to the magic system. You are bound to a spell spirit is a possibility. You're known for your grappling skill. Different things you can kind of have. A pet dog. Depending on your hit die, you roll differently on this table. So if you have a D4 hit die, for example, you are picking from these top 4. If you have a D6, you're rolling a D6 and a D4. If you have a D8, you're rolling a D8, a D6, and a D4. So you can end up with a whole bunch of different possibilities of these. And the probability curve is really nice relative to the hit dice, making them all very distinct. You're not just playing an individual, you're playing a whole group of people. You have youths, elders. The elders have skills they can use, sometimes even ritual spells they can do for you. You start with no infants, but you can make them. That's all part of it. You have an ancestral relic. Last time I ran this, I think my players had a skull cup, and they decided they were going to be the skull cup tribe, and it was awesome. Starting animals, you can get all sorts of animals, language and dialect rules. And here you go. These are the sort of the interacting with the world rules. A lot of it is kind of a grab bag of either best practices from OSR stuff, or it's some really innovative things as well. Here's a encounter table here. Now, there is an encounter system in here. For my money, if you want to get the most juice out of this, you should pick up Wailing Dunes, the adventure that kind of launched with it, that has a totally different encounter system in it. Remember when I said this was a hot mess? I was not joking. But that being said, there's a lot of other great stuff in it. The initiative rules here, combat, action, movement, it's very crunchy stuff. They have a very ordered initiative rules thing, kind of in the vein of what you would expect from something like Basic or OSR games. The combat system in this, it's okay. It's not bad. It's not great. It is what it is. It's a little complicated at times. The damage system, likewise, is complicated, but it does make for some really memorable gameplay. We had one of our spellcasters lose an arm at one point, and that led to a whole bunch of shenanigans. The experience system. This is one of my favorite things about this game. So you can get rewarded for rolling a natural 20 or rolling the maximum die value on a skill. So you can add an X to a thing, which lets you kind of level it up or whatever, increase it by a die size or do whatever. You can also do it for failing. If you roll a critical failure, that's just a regular failure, but if you want to make it a critical failure and explain how it really messes with you, you get an X for that. If you go to 0 HP, you get an X. If you have a plan, you don't even need to roll for because your stats... The skill system in this, I should pause to mention, by the way. The skill system in this is basically that you are rolling like your skill die on top of your stats. So say, for example, you wanted to grapple somebody, you have 16 strength, and you have a D8 in grappling, you would roll a D8 and you would add it to your strength. Now, suppose that you're trying to grapple somebody and, a 17 is the least you can get, and that's going to get it done. So you wouldn't even roll for that. You would just get an X for having a plan that is, kind of easy to execute or within your capabilities. You get an X for that. Exemplary attendance or role-playing, exclusion. If anybody misses an X, they get one. And this kind of explains the leveling up system. You can put X's on anything. You can get new names. You can get sentient weapons. You can increase your dice for things. There's all sorts of weirdness. It's really great. Here's the magic system. I think this is probably the piece de resistance of the whole thing. It's all based around these 7 spiritual realms here, there, dawn, dusk, moon, sun, and the beyond. And basically, there are the rituals, which are, sort of safe magic. There's like, you can find somebody's true name, you can marry 2 people, you can put a circle around people while they sleep at night, and that like protects them and stuff. So you do have some sort of what you might call holy magic in other games, and then there's sorceress magic. So you kind of have like hit die in the sort of 5e sense of like you have like a pool of dice that you can use to rest and stuff. You can also use it to spellcast, and so every die you add forms a die pool. You add dice if you have taken a low dose of psychobotanicals. If anything is associated with the invoked realm, each realm kind of has a relevant psychedelic that sort of opens it up to you. This offerings you make to the spirits can affect your die pool. Animal sacrifices, going to a shrine, being at the right time of day, and of course having a good sort of spellcasting modifier. You're also kind of using, up to 6 words to kind of command the spirit. So tell me of Running Hawk's plan, find my true love, kill them all, those sorts of things. Makes for some interesting spell casting. I think at one point we had a make us all eagles temporarily, which worked out pretty well. It's pretty rare in games that you get to change your whole party into birds and go fly to where you're trying to get to, but was a lot of fun. You can also conjure spirits. You can like bind them to weapons or tools, devices. It's complicated, but very interesting and very rewarding. These are the different entheogens you can take. They might like send you to the land of the dead, or make you sluggish and stupid, or make you throw up all over everything, or send you to the sun realm, or be good for healing, or all sorts of things. There's also some extra planner adventures. So, sometimes you fall through a hole in the earth and you go to the insect realm. Sometimes you do too many drugs and you end up in the sun for a week. These are kinds of the different things. Special requests of animal spirits in the here and now, and the banes and boons they can grant you. The banes and boons of the land of the dead, of the dawn realm. And yeah, all of these different things. At the end of the book, we've got these curse templates. These are kind of like monsters you can become if you become infected. Nameless ones, something that can happen to you if you lose your wisdom or charisma. You can lose your true name and with it a piece of your soul. These are the character sheets. Pretty good. My wife hates this. She talks about it constantly and how bad it is for organizing your inventory, this little satchel thing. But other than that, one element, I think it's a pretty cohesive character sheet. And yeah, that is Pariah. Highly, highly recommend, but not for beginners. It's a lot of fun. Pick up the Wailing Dunes along with it, both available on DriveThruRPG. If you want to help us on our RPG journey, check us out at watchyourdm.com or wherever fine RPGs are sold. And yeah, thank you for joining us for this flip-through review of Pariah, the animist, psychedelic, old-school, Neolithic RPG. Yeah. Thanks for playing.